Hello again, and welcome to Football Manager Roleplay, a project where we create a player using the FM pregame editor, give him a potential ability of 200, and see if he will become the greatest American footballer ever. We will simply watch the progression of this player, Henry Marshall, from the age of 15 to hopefully his eventual retirement. This is a world-building exercise where Football Manager provides the events, and we build a story around those events. Let's take a look at Henry Marshall's current slide. It looks pretty much the same as the last one, save that Henry has informally played in his 45th youth game for Liverpool. This week will be Henry's 20th birthday, but the gift he really wants is to play consistently for the senior club, even if only as a reserve. Manager Zinedine Zidane remained under fire during the last episode, with every tabloid in the country predicting his imminent dismissal from Liverpool. And last time, we covered a U.S. bioterrorism attack at a college football stadium. But what will be the longer-term consequence? Let's move forward and cover a couple of games I didn't get the chance to cover last week. On November 19th, there was a game between the Liverpool under-21s and Borussia Dortmund 2 at Borussia Dortmund. This was an international cup game, and the result was Liverpool's under-21s had a 2-0 win against Borussia Dortmund 2, which is actually in the Dritte League, the third level of German football. It was a tough game, with Russell John getting man of the match honors. He had a 7-7 rating, and Henry Marshall, he finished with a 7-6 here, 7-6 and 6 interceptions. Yep. There you can see he was always ready to battle for the ball in that game. And with one more game to play, Liverpool has a good chance. Let's see if we can find him here. This should be it. Liverpool has a good chance of advancing out of the third group because there are 8 teams here, but they are only playing 4 games. Going back to our inbox, let's take a look. Okay, and we have, from what my understanding is, from the that's what it's going to be from the Totally Football Show. And we will find these guys here. Yeah, there it is. West Ham match decisive for Zidane. We have one more prediction about Zinedine Zidane losing his job. That right now Liverpool's in 11th place with West Ham in 15th place, and West Ham coach Carlos Vincennes had been sacked at the end of October, and there's still not a permanent manager at West Ham. You know, this is old news to Henry Marshall, and it's old news to everybody who's a player at Liverpool. However, he did get a birthday present from the club. He would get to attend this match as a reserve. Now, they said they might not use him, but he would at least get the chance to attend it. How did that game match end? Yep, Liverpool hammered West Ham. We have a 3-1 victory. Once Liverpool, at the end of the game, moved up to 9th place. Declan Rice is the man of the match. Now, Henry Marshall didn't get much of a chance to play in this particular game. He was given a surprise. They gave him the surprise as a birthday present because it is his 20th birthday. And he comes in during the last 8 minutes of the game, which is totally under Liverpool's control, 80% accuracy passing, doesn't make a fool of himself out there. This was his 3rd appearance ever in a Premier game. All of his appearances have been for Liverpool. And in 7 days, during the last 7 days, he had participated in 4 different games in 2 different countries. He didn't know how long this is going to last, but he did feel a little like Tony Stark. He did feel a little bit like an Iron Man. In the United States, the death toll of Bloody November had climbed to over 700 victims, all of whom were attendees of the Notre Dame-Michigan State game, where the bioterrorism attack took place. Several hundred fans and students were still violently ill and in critical care from what doctors called VHM, viral hemorrhagic meningitis. The CDC, however, was able to confirm that the disease did not seem to spread This heretofore unknown malady had a high fatality rate, but it required the crowded conditions to be a fully effective disease vector. Everyone who had attended and managed to escape the game without symptoms were initially quarantined. After a couple of weeks, they were medically cleared. The Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Homeland Security were in charge of the investigation. The virus was brought to the stadium by a man and a woman who had purchased tickets and had each released the material, remaining seated separately in what was essentially a suicide mission. Both were American nationals that had no apparent connection to each other. Neither left any notes. No one had claimed responsibility for the attack, and authorities worried that another attack would soon come. But 2 weeks had passed, which led to the conclusion that the attackers might have shot their bolt. It might take time and resources to set up another attack. There was no guarantee that attack couldn't occur somewhere else, in a mall, a theater, a club. If shooters could attack those locations, and so could bioterrorists. Of course, there were many in government and on the internet who wanted to pin the attack on either China, Russia, or Hamas. President Biden ruled out either of the first two, and it was believed that the exiled Hamas leadership merely wished to stir chaos. However, the lack of progress of an immediate arrest and the information vacuum led many to decry Biden's supposed incompetence. Donald Trump stated on social media that he'd put the thumb screws to any suspect, and he blamed Biden's weakness. The UK, in the meantime, had to wonder how they could be assured that a copycat attack couldn't happen there. Not that the mechanisms of the USA attack were well understood. It was decided that the only way to prevent an attack was to pre screen every football audience. But how on earth could you do that? The FA announced that in order to attend any football game in the UK with seating over 10,000, one needed a gold pass. If you were not heavily involved as supporters of a club or as a season ticket holder or contributor or sponsor, well, the FA needed to get to know you. This would require a 5 to 15-minute chat with an interviewer hired by the FA. If you passed muster, you would be granted a card with your photo on it that would allow you to enter a stadium. Oh, and by the way, your card would cost £100 and have to be renewed every 5 years. £100? The fans screamed murder, but the UK government and FA were holding their own. This is a matter of public safety, they cried. Some fans swore off ever attending football games again, but others set up an appointment online, trudged down to a warehouse somewhere, stood in long lines, and waited for their interview. Some of the questions were innocent. Do you like football? What's your club? Why do you want to attend the games? Others were more pointed. Have you ever been arrested for an offense? Public drunkenness? Violence? It was learned the interviewers, thanks to the UK government, knew the answers to those questions ahead of time. But if you answered honestly, you nearly always got your card in the mail in a few weeks' time. Oh, you could attend a game without a card if you didn't mind waiting in line as every possession you owned was examined and you were patted down thoroughly. By the time they finished with you, the game would be over. Henry wondered what was going on with those smaller stadiums, the ones with less than 10,000 seats. Well, vetting would be left to the individual clubs. Henry imagined someone at the turnstiles at Dulwich Hamlet saying, "All right, come through. We don't care. There aren't enough of us worth being a target anyway." But certainly, things were indeed changing. Other news, and we have Maxi Foot claiming that Zidane, well, you know the deal. Let's take a look at a game from November 23rd versus Manchester's Liverpool under 21 versus Manchester United under 21. We only have the graphic here because, well, it looks like those game results are no longer available. I don't know if it's changing the skin did that. I don't know what happened. But anyway, it was a 1-0 victory. Matt Maloney scored early in the second minute. The Henry Marshall did play a complete game in this game, and he finished with a 7.0 match rating, and he had 5 interceptions And Liverpool had a big advantage in solo headers, and they were just willing to put in the extra effort to give themselves an edge. Liverpool's under 21s will not play another game until December the 7th. If we can see here on the scroll, Marcus Edwards is going to continue his fight with Zidane. He still wants to be loaned out. He's taking it to the press. And let's see what happens on the next day. We have Liverpool, let's see here, Liverpool. There's a 0-0 tie. And in this game, it was a sparse crowd at Anfield. Although they are starting to show signs to fill up now with the first FA Gold cards being handed out in a Champions League match. Now, Henry Marshall was indeed selected for this match, but he remained a reserve in that game. It looks like for some reason we can't get that game either. Doesn't matter. Henry was just a reserve in it. And in the other news here, let's see. Okay. And the Daily Mirror now says that Zidane's going to be fired. Manchester United up next. So one new newspaper or news source before every game says that he's going to be out of here. So let's see if we can access this game on November 28th. Liverpool is in 11th place. Manchester United is in 7th. It will be at Manchester United, called the Northwest Derby. Zidane says it's just another game. Thomas Tuchel at Man United says that Zidane doesn't have fighting spirit. Everyone's looking at that game here. Let's see how important was it. It was the big game of the day, actually, apparently. And yep, it ends up with a 2-0 loss. I don't know why I can't get any game results here. Well, no, there it is. Finally, don't know why. It is very, very slow to respond for some reason. I've gotten to actually saving the game every time I play other games so I don't lose any past games like I did in the past. But Jadon Sancho, Bruno Fernandes, they both score in this game. Henry Marshall, is he there for Liverpool at all? He actually does play a complete game, but doesn't play a great game. It's just a 6.5 game for him. Liverpool could generate no offense. They only had 5 shots on goal. Only one of these shots was on target. As for Henry gave a lot of fouls. I mean, he wasn't carded, but he was certainly playing aggressively. And I think that was just due to how frustrated he was by the physicality of Manchester United. He was actually warned at least once by an official, but Liverpool, they couldn't even get their offense set up, as you can see by looking here. Not a great game for Liverpool. Now, after the game, Zinedine Zidane was asked if he would be meeting with the club ownership after the loss. I suspect so, he said in French, but who can really say? He would indeed be meeting with owner Scott Lewis after that game, and after all the waiting, the axe finally fell. So, there it is. Zidane is fired by Scott Lewis. Lewis Scott. There it is. Poorly positioned, but really this has been in the background for a long time. Look at the stats here. Came in July 13th. By November 28th, he's out. He only lasted 4 months. If we go back to the press release, Mark Bridge Wilkinson, he is head of the under 18s. He has now been placed in temporary charge of the team's affairs. Now, the odd makers were already making their bets on who the new guy was going to be. And we'll see if we can find the first new guy here is Stefano Pioli. He is the head coach of the Italy men's national team. He won 2 straight Serie A championships with Milan before he took over the job of coaching Italy. And he wanted this job. And when asked if he knew more English than Zidane did, he said, "I know no English, But yes, the other big candidate was, I'm sure I'm getting this name pronounced wrong, Sturle Solbakken. He has been the Norway head coach since 2020. He had won multiple championships with FC Copenhagen in the 2010s. And his English was good enough for him not to really need a translator. He said Liverpool's record didn't reflect how good this team was, and he felt that he could get the results that Zidane couldn't. And we'll see if we talk about PC Solbakken here. Yes, Solbakken certainly open to discussion about this new hiring. Next, Liverpool taking on Aston Villa. Liverpool in the 11th slot, Aston Villa in the fourth one. And taking a look here, we'll follow your short list. Liverpool fans consider Solbakken the leading candidate. So, and then some more Liverpool fans. So, who are these Liverpool fans? Liverpool supporters spokesperson, and another one said that Stefano Pioli. So they're just sort of split. Some want Solbakken, some want Pioli. So what happens with Mark Richardson in charge? Leaderless Liverpool overcome fourth place Aston Villa. And Wonder Kid Russell John has a late winner in this game. He scores in the 89th minute. Both goals here scored after the 80th minute for a come from behind win for Liverpool. Henry Marshall, he was not selected in this game, but he could certainly feel very happy for all of his teammates. I thought we had Liverpool that had Russell John had been selected for this game. Nope, he didn't. Let's see, side player, trier. Yeah, he was not selected. He was not selected as a reserve. He didn't play at all in this game. But hey, Henry's been playing with Russell John in the youth leagues for a long time, and he certainly was very, very happy about that win for his friend. And 3 days later, there would be another game coming up. Liverpool moved to ninth position in the Premier League. There's John's great game. They will be playing Southampton in this next game. So how does that game start out? Can we have a new winning streak? I mean, Liverpool is in the ninth position. Southampton's 20. They're at the very bottom of the league. So Mark Bridge Wilkinson obviously very upbeat about his chances there. How did it turn out? Leaderless Liverpool thumped by Southampton on the road. 3-0. The press described this game as a rout. So lost to, on the road, the worst team in the Premier League. It leaves Liverpool's fans reeling. Maybe part of the loss was the fact that Bridge Wilkinson decided to give players like Salah and Declan Rice a rest for this game because they're just in 20th spot, and he paid for it. The joke was that both teams exchanged jerseys before the game, and nobody noticed until it was too late. Russell John, he started for Liverpool, but he turned back into a pumpkin basically. 6.5 match rating there. Henry Marshall was a reserve. He was called injured in the 61st minute, and he had an average game. Let's see, John. Let's see. Henry Marshall, there he is, 86th minute. He did have one key pass, but it was just a 6.6 match rating. We'll take a look at the player statistics for Liverpool, and they are right here. Started the game. There we go. But he didn't start the game. Came in the 61st minute. He did enough to get the average match rating here. He had an average game, but Liverpool did not need average games right now. I mean, clearly, Mark Bridge Wilkinson is just going to be a caretaker coach. Liverpool felt they needed to act fast. They needed to solve this manager puzzle. And we'll see what happens here. Bridge Wilkinson obviously was disappointed by the humbling defeat. Let's see. 4 days ago, we were at the 7th, and what happened would be that 442 would highlight that they have offered Stefano Pioli the job as head coach at Liverpool. This was only 9 days after Zidane gets the sack. And that's where we'll wrap up today. The United States suffers a terrorist attack, but no information yet about the attacker. The UK sets up a vetting process that costs £100, but it allows English football clubs to finally admit paying spectators. Henry Marshall is still stuck at the youth level for the most part. Zinedine Zidane is sacked at Liverpool, and 442 claims that Stefano Pioli has been offered the job. If you like anything you've seen or heard, hit the like or subscribe button. Until next time,